So welcome back to the T2 Hub with me, Martin Johnson.
Me, Spencer Locker.
So, Spence.
Yeah.
Thought we'd get together.
Yeah.
We've not got an exact idea of what we're going to do.
No.
But they're usually the best videos.
Yeah, let's wing it.
Well, we have really. We got together and we wanted to record this video and have a general chat on camera about three things. And I sort of, me and Spence debate these, but I sort of call them my 3 rules of life.
Yeah.
That sounds very cathartic, very deep, very, enlightening, very spiritual, but we'll explain what we mean by this. And my sort of 3 rules of life. Spence only has 1 rule of life.
Yeah, but he's got subheadings.
and Spence's 1 rule of life is...
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Right? But which is a great rule of life. But I have 3 rules of life.
The power of 3.
The power of 3. I always have to have 3s. And we thought we'd debate them on this video because although I believe in them strongly and passionately in terms of how human beings operate and go forward and be fulfilled and happy and succeed in life, it's not for everybody. And sometimes people do challenge me on these 3 things. So it really creates a healthy debate. And what we wanted to do is debate them and just see what the people viewing it think. And
the comeback is, I think that's really... You said a lot of people put these videos out about, they go on an extended monologue, and then that's it. And then people go, or whatever. Yeah, let's get some feedback.
Yeah, or just take what you will and leave what you don't agree with. So, 3 rules of life, and we'll use the flip chart and maybe draw a few things as we go along the way.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So the first rule of life for me, or the first thing we're going to debate is, and this stems from a personal experience. Now, for any people who know me, will know, or have worked with us a lot, will know that I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Sjogren's syndrome. And Sjogren's syndrome, like multiple sclerosis, lupus, and some of the other autoimmune conditions, is where your immune system attacks your body. You suffer an array of symptoms and challenges. It peaks and troughs. So sometimes I'm, like today, I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
I'm relatively normal. Other days, I've got dry eyes, I struggle with my balance, I'm fatigued, and you know about it.
You went through a short period just before Christmas, didn't you?
I did.
I say short period. It was a short period to us because you only told us after it had been happening for a while.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I can have a tough month or a tough few weeks. And so the personal experience was this. I've got to look after myself more than ever.
Yeah.
There's certain things that trigger it, which I'm coming to terms with, but I've got to look after myself. But I guess for a period of time, I stopped looking after myself. And I was trying to look after everything else. I was trying to run a business. I was trying to fulfill my speaking engagements. I was trying to run a family house. I was trying to be a father to 3 kids, be a partner to my wife, go out on all my social commitments. And you know what? It gets the better of you because you can't take care of everything. So this is my first rule of life. And if I just get up, Spence, and use the board. So if we say rule 1, right, my first rule of life, and we've debated this, haven't we, a lot?
Yeah.
This is I decided before Christmas that this is what I was going to say to myself. I thought, why am I feeling like this? How do I get myself out of this? And it was simply this. If I look after me, right, that's part 1. If I look after me, then part 2 of this is me will look after everything else. Does that make sense, Spence?
Yes, it does.
So if I look after me will look after everything else. Now I want you to think about what I mean by that. Because sometimes I think in life, in our professions, in the workplace, whatever it might be, we skip 1. And what we try and do is we try to instantly go to 2. I need to look after everything else. And that's where pressure builds up, and that's where we become overwhelmed. We become overworked, and literally we start to struggle.
Definitely
with balancing the complexities of life.
Definitely.
So I really thought to myself, by asking myself this question, if I look after me, let's not think about everything else. Let's not think about being a father, being a husband, my social commitments. Let's not think about running a business. Let's not think about my schedule over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. let me just focus on me for a second. So I sort of, if I change colour here, I sort of thought, well, if I put me at the centre, what do I need to do to look after me? I'm going to bring you in for your view on this in a minute, Spence. But for me, it was diet. Right, let me get my diet on. Am I exercising? So how often am I exercising? What are my stress levels like? Am I sleeping? Am I sleeping as well as I could be or should be? Here's was a big thing for me: personal development. Right, I am an avid reader of books. I watch YouTube videos. I listen to podcasts. Right, and that really, really makes me focus and makes me be the best version of myself. I'd completely stopped for a 2 or 3 month period doing that. I can't remember, up until Christmas, I've not read a book in 3 months. That is incredibly unusual for me. So I needed to get back to reading books, educating myself, listening to podcasts, etc. I needed to eat, reduce drinking for a while, get off their stodgy carbs, eat more vegetables, get my diet on. I needed to exercise more. I'd completely stopped exercising, which is a big part of my life. So I started looking at this, and then I made some changes. Now we're 17 days into January, and I feel 1,000,000 times better. Because I looked after me, and I haven't even, as a natural, byproduct of that, me is starting to take care of everything else. And we're flying at work, and at home, everything's great. And I think sometimes my first rule of life is we skip one and we try and take on everything, but we don't look after ourselves first.
And I mean, as you said there, 17 days into January, you're feeling good, you're feeling productive, you're knocking it out of the park. Imagine what you're going to be like on the 63rd of January.
When we finally get paid. After that awful month of Christmas.
Since you mentioned this to me, I mean, there's loads of stuff out there on social media about certain things, but for me, to align to this, there's a couple of sort of analogies and sayings that I quite like that I think would back this up. First one, you can't pour from an empty cup. Okay, so basically you're doing all this. This is where you're putting everything out there. You're covering all the bases. You're doing everything else. But the level, energy level, enthusiasm level, whatever level, the level of you is going down and down and down and down and down. If you don't refill that, if you don't take that time, if you don't diet, eat the right things for you, exercise. Consider your stress levels, sleep, rest. I mean, I know for you find it sometimes. You're not one of these people can sit down and do nothing. You're constantly on the go. But the thing is, when we talk about rest, it's downtime, and different people have things for downtime. Some people veg on the settee. Some people will exercise. Some people will read a book. But for you, it might be doing something else. But the thing is, it's still recharging your batteries.
And this is a salient point, and I think this is an important point. The rule is the same for everybody on this planet. I defy anybody to challenge this rule of, I need to look after me first so me can look after everything else. But this, when you come down to the breakdown of what that means, it's different things for different people. Now, I think universally we can agree that a good diet, exercise, and reducing stress levels will benefit most people. But like Spencer says, how achieving that is different for different people. Rest, personal development, it's all slightly different things. So, for me, one of the things is social. So, getting out there and socialising with my friends and taking time to be in that social environment is really good time spent for me. It switches my brain off, and it's what I need. For some other people, that's not what they need to look after me. The introverts out there, or the people who actually they gain their stimulation and recharge their batteries in isolation, they might go, well, actually, that's not for me. I need to stop doing some of that, and I need to take some time out on weekends and watch a film or whatever it might be. So this can mean different things for different people.
And on just quickly on the back of that, this is a problem where with like social media and influencers, because there's people out there who'll say you should do this, and you should do that, and you should do the other, and you should do this, and if you do that, you'll be like me, successful or energetic or whatever. But the thing is, you're setting yourself up for a fall because you're focusing on what works for them and not what works for you. So then you get to a point where you're not getting what you need from doing what they want, so you're even further back.
Yeah,
disappointed, disillusioned,
yeah, when
demotivated.
You start living somebody else's sort of version of this. And therefore I really like this. And, you know, just to reiterate, rule 1, if I look after me will look after everything else. Don't focus too much on all the complexities of life and trying to be in control and solve everything, because you will neglect looking after yourself to a point where you are the best version of yourself and you stand a fighting chance of taking on number 2, right? And for me, that really came to light before Christmas, because I was like, I need to get back to lowering my inflammation levels and feeling normal, or even somewhere close to it. And when I actually looked at my version of this, I'd neglected at least 4 or 5 of them. And I can honestly say 16, 17 days in to getting back on the horse, I feel great, and it's not a coincidence.
No.
It's not a coincidence.
As we said the other day about the oxygen masks in aircraft.
Yeah, so Spence uses an analogy for this, which, just say this analogy, Spence, because I thought it's a perfect example.
Yeah, you've got to basically look after yourself before you look after somebody else. So the oxygen masks drop down, and you are instructed by the cabin crew to put your own oxygen mask on first, aren't you?
You are, yeah.
Because when you've done that, then you can help other people, whether it's children or other people around you. But if you don't, you become a casualty.
Well, this is it. How many parents like me have sat on a plane and going, yeah, right, mate, I'm putting the oxygen mask on my 5-year-old before I'm putting mine on, right? Yeah. But the point of it is if you look after me, or if I look after me, I can then look after everybody else. Rather than, like you say, trying to do that first, and then I'm no good to anybody if I pass out, right? So, absolutely, I think rule 1, we debate it. Some people say, you know, that they struggle with the complexities of life. They feel burnt out. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like they're carrying too much responsibility. They get dragged into hypothetical worrying about the future. And all of the time, I ask themselves the question, I ask people in one-to-ones, how much are you sleeping? Do you exercise? What's your diet like? You know, do you have downtime? Do you practice mindfulness? You know, do you socialise in your spare time? And do you know, when I ask them these questions, most human beings, by their own admission, would acknowledge that they don't. And they wonder why they're getting themselves into a position where the complexities of life are really challenging them. So I just think about that. And if you're watching this video, ask yourself the question, am I skipping 1 and looking at 2? And if you say yes, then you need to start focusing on looking after me, and then the me will take care of everything else. It's the one thing I've always said, Spence, I will back myself, the good version of me, to achieve anything in life. But only if I take care of me, to put myself in a situation to do it.
Good stuff.
Rule 1.
Yeah, we like that.
We'll circle that one. Rule 1 is look after me, and me will look after everything else. Right. Let's go to rule 2, Spence.
Rule 2.
So, rule 2. Rule 2 of life. Now, I'm going to draw a diagram to probably illustrate this, Spence.
Yeah.
Forgive my drawing, I'm sure you will get it, right? I'm sure you will get it. But here's my rule 2 of life. We find, incidentally, that this, I think, is the trap that most human beings fall foul of.
100% of people, 50% of the time.
Exactly, right. So, by the way, if you're wondering already, this is the tide. Right, this is the tide. There's a ship or a boat.
Some sort of seagoing vessel.
Can you tell I used to be in the Navy? Right. So up here, we have the wind. We have the wind. And for me, this explains most people's mindset in life, how they get trapped into this type of mindset, right? The tide and the wind. So we have this boat here, and when we do one-to-ones with people and training with people, we observe that a lot of people start to blame a lack of resources for a lack of their success.
Yeah.
Or they become the victim of their environment time and time again.
Yeah.
You know, they sit in sessions and they say, well, that's all well and good, Martin, but in my workplace, X.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it, you know, the leadership's rubbish. We don't have enough resources, right? We don't get enough training. The economy's down, so we're struggling to sell. Brexit means this. You know, they become a victim of their environment. And this is what it illustrates. In life, we have the wind and the tide, which carries us in all different directions. And this represents all the things that we don't control. Like politics, like economies, like organisations. You know, situations that happen externally of us represents the tide and the wind. We can't control the wind and we can't control the tide. However, and this is the real key point, so if I just write that down there, you know, we cannot control or influence, I'd say, Spence, is probably, we can't control or influence the tide or wind. And this is really, really important. We just can't. However, here's the big thing, and this is what we're going to talk about. We can absolutely learn to sail. I say this to my children all the time, and I hope as my daughters and my son grows up, it starts to stay with them. We can't influence the wind or the tide. We can't influence the things around us in the workplace, in our personal life. And therefore, those people who give up and say, well, I'm just going to drift then because I will sail wherever the wind and the tide takes me, and that's all I can pretty much do and put up with it. My challenge is, but you can stick that sail up and you can learn to sail and navigate or even utilise to your advantage the wind and the tide. That is what productive people do. I always have this saying, people talk to me about Brexit all the time. I don't really give a shit, right? If we stay in Europe, I will be successful. If we come out of Europe with a deal, I will adapt and become successful. If we come out of Europe with no deal, I will still adapt and become successful. Because whatever the wind and the tide, I will sail and in the direction that will still allow me to achieve what I want to achieve. And that is what the most productive people do.
Yes, they do. You again, it's that adaptability, a certain amount of resilience. And it's knowing that, you know what, I can't control this, so I'm not even going to waste my time trying to control this, but what I do control is this. And by doing this, taking charge, taking control, acknowledging that this is what I control and I can do something about it.
Absolutely. And I just think that watching this, if people are watching this, and these are I say 3 rules of life, which sounds, like I say, very fluffy, but it's almost like it doesn't matter if it's in your personal life or your professional life. We can watch this and think of examples of where we're blaming the wind and the tide that we can't influence. So we sort of go, well, my cards are dealt. I can't achieve this because of X. I can't do this because of Y, right? But we can learn to sail and never forget that. And that's you know, we in sessions of development, whether it's one-to-one or group sessions, whether it's boardroom executives or mid-managers, people talk about the wind and the tide every single day, Spencer.
They do.
And they get trapped in that mindset of what they're limited by, or the reasons as to why they can't achieve what they want to achieve.
So basically we're talking a mixture of threat state, closed loop thinking. And what we really want to do is look at challenge state, open loop thinking.
Exactly. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I joined Gartner, a fantastic organisation, in 2008. It was September 2008 when the credit crunch had just hit. So all economies went down, organisations were panicking, people stopped spending money. You know, it was a complete mess, and I just joined a new company as a salesperson, selling high value consultancy to companies who were no longer buying. So when I joined in that organisation, a lot of the salespeople I was speaking to were going, listen, it's impossible at the minute. You know, nobody's spending money. The economy's, you know, gone down. You know, budgets have been slashed. You're not going to sell anything out there. And I was like, really? Because for me, I saw the opportunity in 2008. In 2008, it was an opportunity to help companies save money.
Yeah.
So as long as you started selling and pitching your products or services around how companies could reduce costs, then you would sell more than you have ever sold in your life.
Because that's what everybody's after doing. Yeah.
And that was the opportunity. That's where I put my sale up and the opportunity I saw. I was incredibly successful in 2008 and 2009. And in my first 2 years in that organisation, I finished in the top 10% of salespeople worldwide. It's what built the rest of my foundation because I saw the opportunity in the credit crunch. And how actually, if you got it right, you could get people to invest more money than ever, right? And we did have products and services that allowed companies to save a lot of money. So granted, there was a bit of luck involved there. But the point being is other salespeople were saying, we're never going to hit our targets this year because nobody's spending money. And that's the difference between when you're being influenced by the tide and the wind versus when you stick that sail up and you start navigating it and using it to your advantage.
Excellent. Yeah.
Right, Spence, moving it on.
Third one.
Rule 3. So we've talked about look after me and me will look after everybody else. We've talked about, being creative and accountable rather than blaming everything for why you can't be successful. Wind and tide analogy. But let's look at rule 3. So my rule 3 of life is this. I'm going to try and draw it the best I can. So if this represents a mountain, right? So we're looking at this, right? Flag on the hill type of stuff. So for me, this is about vision. It's about vision, or you could even say, Spence, it's about goals. Right? Vision and goals. I'm a huge one for this. And the reason why I'm a huge person in life on setting goals and a vision is because for me, it creates what we call the law of attraction. The law of attraction. And that is really important in terms of propelling you forward to achieve something. No matter how small or big, right? So people do challenges on this, by the way, which we'll come to. But for me, and I always say this in my talks, you have to know where you are going. You have to know where, really important, you are going. And the reason why that is important for me is because if you don't know where you're going or you don't have an even idea of where you want to go, what you want to achieve, then what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing, Spence? You're drifting.
Well, that's the thing is, you've got a goal, you've got a focus, but people seem to think that those goals have got to be BHAGs.
BHAGs. So that's the goal, right? And you're right. People go, my goals, driven by external forces of social media and seeing everybody's fantastic lives or people's LinkedIn, climbing the corporate ladder and all the rest of it. And you think, I'm getting left behind here. And we have this big sort of BHAG saying, big, hairy, audacious goals, right? Fan of them myself, but for some people that puts pressure on them. That's quite daunting. We don't all have to run a business or run a marathon or bloody climb Everest or whatever it might be. We don't have to have it, but we need a vision or a goal in life. We need to look at something, and for some people, it might be microscopic. It might be a microscopic change. But they know where they're heading to and why. Now, sometimes people do challenge on this and say, Martin, that's all well and good, but I just want to live in the moment. I want to take every day as it comes. I don't want to put any extra pressure on myself. And I go to work and I earn my money and I come home and my family's secure and I don't want anything else than that. Right? And I go, fantastic, right? But you just said a couple of key things there. You go to work, you've got a family, and as long as they're all right and secure, you can pay the bills, you're okay.
Well, that's your goal.
So straight away then, there's a goal, because let's say in that analogy, that person is earning 20k per year, right? With the rate of inflation and the rising taxes and the cost of living, if you stay stagnant, then 5 years from now, you're going to struggle. Does this make sense? So maybe you're already living hand to mouth, because let's face it, even a 20k salary these days doesn't go very far, right? So let's say you calculate that actually to deliver security for your family, to go to work, to be stress-free, to live in the moment, you might need 28k, right? You might need 28k. So already you've got a goal of shifting from 20k to 28k. It's not climbing Everest, it's not becoming an entrepreneur, and it's not, but it's important. It's important to achieve what you've just said is important to you. So then that starts, why is this important? So talk about create the law of attraction. I need to earn a bit more money because we're living hand to mouth. It's not very comfortable. So what do I need to do to earn 28k? Well, there's two options for me. I either need to get a promotion in the job that I've got, or I need to get a new job, which will pay me 28k.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you have a goal.
Yeah.
You have a vision of what you need to achieve, and that creates. So that creates actions. So what do I need to do internally to get my promotion? What does that look like? Do I need to upskill myself? Start stakeholder managing?
Yeah.
Right. Do I know what jobs might be coming up, where that promotion might come from, or do I need to start looking for jobs? Do I need to start interviewing? Have I even got an updated CV?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And this is my point on this, Spence. We get challenged on this all the time. Some people don't like the pressure of setting goals, and primarily because if they fail, they think it's bad.
That's it, yeah.
But secondarily, they think, oh, I don't want to. That's fine. But let me tell you, every human being on the planet has a need and a set of motivators to fulfill.
Yes, yeah.
And that by default, on some level, will create a goal.
When we start talking about our sense of purpose, people's sense of purpose, I know it's a little bit deeper than your unconscious motivators, but they push you, you're moving in a certain direction for a certain reason. And those goals may be to provide, all the stuff that we talk about. So, when you get that, it gives you motivation. Yeah, so that law of attraction is motivating you. And again, when you start talking about goals and visions, the different things for different people, the different sizes, and at the end of the day, I'm sure you'll agree that what you've said there is not necessarily about the destination. It's about the journey.
Great point. Because, for example, if that's your journey on the way to your goal, right, people think if you don't get here, then it's failure, and it's all a waste of time.
That's not true.
But like you've pointed out there, and this is a great saying which I think a lot of people have got to remember, it's really not it's not the goal, right, that's important.
No.
I say goals create the law of attraction, and you obviously you want to achieve them, and when you achieve them it feels great. But really it's not the goal that's important. What's important is what you become along the way.
Yeah.
Because even if you have this goal, I've had many goals that I've never reached, right? But what I've become along the way in terms of the skills that I've developed, the experiences that I've now had, right? And what it's done for me as a person is invaluable.
Yeah.
It's invaluable. And when you don't set goals, or when you're not striving to achieve something, then as a person, you're sort of stagnant. So I just think rule 3 of life, and it's not about BHAGs all the time. Rule 3 of life is, I always ask people a question, where are you going? What's important to you? What do you want to achieve? Have you even thought about what 5 years from now looks like, what 10 years from now looks like? And it doesn't have to be financial. For some it is. For me, I'm not shallow about it. I have financial goals.
Yeah, sure.
I want to be earning X by a certain point, or I want to have achieved this revenue in the company by a certain year. It drives me, right? But for some people it can be, what does my home look like in 5 years? What holidays have I been on? What experiences have I had, right? It's incredibly important, because if two people jump off a ship and one decides that my goal is to swim to the island, right, and one decides that I will go on my back and just see what happens, what's going to happen?
Well, somebody's going to stay wet.
Or someone's going to get themselves involved there, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got a higher chance of reaching the outcome, and what they become along the way, fitter, stronger, more resilient, whatever it might be.
I think perspective is a great thing in this particular situation. When we start talking about these things, we've got to start thinking about, when was the last time you achieved something great without trying? Can you remember it? Probably not.
Unless you've won the lottery.
Right,
which represents 0.2% of the people.
I was going to say,
you would say but you went out off your arse and bought a lottery ticket. You had many failures before you got the win.
I was going to say you influenced it by actually buying a lottery ticket. However, when you look back and you think to yourself, you know what, that was hard work. That challenged me. I had to step out of my comfort zone to achieve that. And you know what? At the end of it, I didn't achieve it. But you learn something. You remember it. There's something's been added to your life. Yeah? Whether it's spiritual, religious, professional, personal, emotional, whatever. It doesn't matter. The thing is, that part of the journey, you didn't reach the destination. But that part of the journey makes you go on that mission and view that goal in a different way. I know one way of not achieving it.
Well, again, a sort of final example of this is my personal journey. We've been going 5 years here at Trans 2.
Yeah.
And for the first 4 years, we doubled the business every year. So it was an amazing journey. And for any entrepreneur or business owner, the first year or so is always the best, right? Loads of bandwidth, low overheads, exciting time. And then everything starts becoming real. Fires start burning, bandwidth reduces, your overheads increase. Cash flow is a challenge, right? Yeah. So it gets really hard as it goes on. But we doubled the business every year, so I thought, right, years 4 to 5, we're going to double again, and we flatlined. Now, we flatlined in terms of we almost had equal revenue as the year before.
We didn't die.
No, we still made a profit. But and I was really so my goal was to double again, and I missed it. Like famously, we missed it. It was like not even close. I wanted to double the business, and we flatlined. So I was quite upset by it, and it knocked me a little bit. But actually, to this analogy, when I reflected on it sometime later, in our 5th year, we had still produced a phenomenal amount of revenue. In that year of flatlining and still producing a profit, we had built the T2 Hub, an online digital platform. Right? We'd won something like another 12 net new large customers, which were giving us ongoing business. We'd broke into the public sector for the very first time. We created our productivity tools. So when I look at that, I go, actually, this analogy of what we've become along the way was a much more mature organisation.
Yes.
So although the revenue number didn't say we'd grown, the actual peripherals, we'd grown in maturity tenfold. We had better products, we had more customers. It's just for certain reasons that we didn't hit the numbers we wanted to hit. So let's just recap on the 3 rules, Spence, before we wrap it up and any final comments. We wanted to just debate this nice and relaxed, didn't we? Because we see thousands of people and we work and we have a wonderful job that we get to develop thousands of people, but we do get challenged on some of our methodologies, and rightly so, right? On our thought processes. We see a lot out there, but these 3 things for me are essential in every human being. They mean slightly different things to different people, granted. But I defy any human being on this planet to not look at these 3 things and say, number 1, am I looking after me? Is my sole focus, I look after me and me will look after everything else? Or am I bypassing that and I'm trying to look after everything else with a 40% battery life or at 50% of my best, right? That I think is universally relevant. And when you focus your mind on just all I need to do is look after me and not think too much about everything else me has got to look after. That happens organically when you are at your best. Number 2, we talked about the tide and the wind. This very much reflects people who are victims of this world and people who are the masters of their destiny. We see too many victims, and it's not their fault at times. They are absolutely sort of dragged into that state through years of culture in their organisation, through poor leadership, through people letting them down time and time again, right? But just ask yourself the question, if you're becoming that victim where you're blaming everything, or you think all the things you can't control are going to influence you anyway, so what's the point? Then challenge yourself. Put that sail up and learn to sail and navigate the tides and the wind. That's what productive people do in life. We've all got challenges. We all face the same climate, the same economic situation, the same government, right? The same challenges. But why are some people able to flourish and some people are not? Because they can sail. And that is a really, really important one for me. And number 3, You know, the goals and the vision, creating the law of attraction. It doesn't have to be BHAG. You don't have to be the next Richard Branson. You don't have to be climbing Everest, right? You don't have to be becoming a millionaire by a certain age. But what are your goals? Do you have any? What is your vision for the next 5 or 10 years? And are you doing the things that will drag you towards that vision, or are you just drifting? You're just drifting.
Yeah, and the things that you identify that are for you will actually turn out because of 1 and 2.
Exactly.
So rule 1, looking after me, identify what's important to me. 2, yeah, that's out of my control. This is in my control. 3, what am I going for? Where
what
am I
going to do about it?
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I think it frustrates me that I think we live in the country, in the Western world certainly, with the second greatest opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
Outside of the United States of America. You know, the UK is such an opportunity, and you see people moaning about this country and moaning about what it gets wrong and moaning about governments and all this. People want to come to this country because it is a land of opportunity like the United States. You know, you don't get boats of people going, oh, if only I could just make it to Poland.
No.
If only I could just get across the border to Azerbaijan, I can make something of my life, right?
Yeah.
And it's nothing against those countries, but we live in an incredible country which provides incredible opportunities to succeed.
Yeah.
And we forget that sometimes.
People just sit and moan about it.
Exactly. We forget that. It will be what you want it to be. And I think these 3 rules, if you get them straight in your head, that's what will allow you to go forward on any scale, personal, professional life, and just take it head on.
Yeah, get that.
Enjoyed that?
Yeah.
Like that, Spence?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So,
kind of like as much as I mean, we're in a relaxed environment. As much as we would like to debate, usually debate means that 2 people are taking opposing viewpoints. But actually, I do agree with a lot of them.
Yeah.
And again, you can make this fit your individuality, can't you?
Yeah.
I know we've banged on about it doesn't have to be climbing Everest and this, that, and the other. You don't have to have one goal. You can have a little goal, achieve it. Well, I've done this, so I'll have another goal. Little steps, stepping out your comfort zone, whatever it might be. So yeah, it's motivational. It's inspiring.
It is. And I just think if people have taken a lunch hour or lunch half hour out to listen to this, just maybe start looking at these 3 things and just seeing where you can plug some gaps or make some minor changes that'll make a massive difference.
Yeah, open loop think the situation, but it needs to be relevant to you.
Awesome.
Great stuff.
Spencer Locker, loved it. And
we'll do that.
Yeah, don't know where that one's come from. We'll probably think of another. I like this format.
Yeah.
We just get a flip chart, pick a few topics, brainstorm them. Nothing we do is scripted, which is always the case.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've taken some stuff from that, and we'll be back shortly with another T2 Hub video.